and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books and beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee, co-host and official mascot here. This is Raina, and her snack of the day today. Let's go with, we got a couple things here now. Let's go with some blue wilderness chicken. Raina likes these, but they're tiny, so she'll get a couple of them, no problem. But anyway, I am here to do a tag. This is an original tag that was created by Daniela at Uncommon Reader and myself, Renee, from Beyond Books. What we have to say about this tag is that spring is in the air, or at least on the calendar. So please enjoy this seasonal tag from Daniela at Uncommon Reader and Renee at Beyond Books. We look forward to warmer days ahead, as well as hearing your answers to the prompts. So here we are. Let's do the Spring is in the Air tag. So prompt 1 is Spring Chicks. Name a book that made you feel warm and fuzzy. Okay, well, I think that this may sound a little bit odd to some people. It's not a spring book by any means. It's actually a book about winter, but I felt very warm and open towards the people of Beartown once I started reading this second book of Beartown, Us Against You. Some of the people that were jerks, or at least I thought they were jerks in the first book, kind of redeemed themselves in the second book. And others I just felt more open and forgiving towards once I got to know them a little bit better. So I think that's kind of the advantage or the vantage point that you get when you read the second book of the series and beyond. Because really, Beartown is a great book just as a standalone. But yeah, when I opened the book and I started the first few chapters, I thought, wow, it feels great to be back in Beartown, and I know these people and I like them. So yeah, it gives a warm feeling. Prompt number 2, April Showers or Spring Showers, a book that is set near, in, or on the water, or that has the word water in the title. Okay, so for that one, I chose, here it is. I chose this book. This is, I haven't read it now. I got it at a library sale. This is The Last Girls by Lee Smith. I'm going to read you just a little bit from the jacket cover and see what you think. On a beautiful June day in 1965, a dozen girls, classmates at a picturesque Blue Ridge Women's College, launched their homemade raft, inspired by Huck Finn's, on a trip down the Mississippi. It's Girls A Go-Go Down the Mississippi, read the headline in the Paducah, Kentucky paper. 35 years later, 4 of those girls reunite to cruise the river again, this time on a luxury steamboat. Well, yeah, that's going to be up my alley. Also, I'm going to be visiting the area, one of the areas, a city that is on the Mississippi soon, which we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'd like to read this book kind of before I go there, maybe. So prompt number 3 is Spring Break. Talk about a time you took a break from reading and why. Well, I can't think of a time that I took a conscious break from reading, other than maybe for a day or so because I had other things to do. But, there were times, several times, I'm sure, in my life where I just didn't have as much time, for reading. And instead, I listened to a lot of audiobooks and I read shorter things, articles, blogs, other things of interest that maybe just didn't take so long. So prompt number 4 is Swallows Coming Home, a book or an author you always go back to for comfort. Well, I have authors that I definitely consider to be in my inner circle, my circle of trust. And those are, of course, Grisham, Patricia Cornwell. Now I have in there S.A. Cosby and Daniel Black. I think Kristen Hanna should be in there, Stephen King. So if I were in a slump or if I just wanted to get back to enjoying my reading at a time when I may not be so much, I would seek them out to see what they might have out that I haven't read, or maybe try to find other authors that are similar to them. Prompt number 5 is Blooms, a book that started slowly but blossomed to be one of your favorite reads. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. That just popped right into my mind. No doubt about it. The first 35 pages or so are kind of confusing, actually. And I didn't expect that. And for a minute there, I kind of wondered, well, why am I even reading this? I read it as a banned book. So it was a reread from high school, but I hadn't remembered all that stuff at the beginning. Or maybe I just didn't even read the stuff at the beginning. But once this turned the corner, wow, it turned out to be well worth my time for sure. And now I actually might add, and hold on for a minute, I got to grab the book. I didn't put it over here on my desk. I might add this, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. And now it's not that this necessarily starts out slow. It grabbed my attention right away. But there's a lot of background on several of the characters. And at first you kind of wonder why, because that's not really typical of a thriller. But in this case, it is, I think, necessary in order to fully appreciate the ending. And I think you have to know kind of the history of the families involved in order to, like I say, appreciate and really understand why something like that could have happened. So, yeah, I would go with that too. And that is a very good book. Number 6 is Eggs in a Basket. 3 books you want to read this spring. Okay. Well, one is The Great Black Hope by Rob Franklin. It's set to be published on June 10th, 2025. I was recommended that book by Ellen at the Ellen Made Book Club in her Books and Booktubers recommendations tag. Now, that is a fun tag that really everyone should take a look at on, whose ever channel you're looking at. If they've done that tag, that's an interesting one to watch, I'm sure, because even if you aren't tagged by someone, it's good to take a look, see what kinds of things are being recommended. And if you want to give the tag a try as a booktuber, at first, I'll tell you, it does seem a little bit intimidating. But once you get rolling, you just want to recommend books all day. You just can't stop thinking of books to recommend for people. So, it's a fun tag. But yeah, Great Black Hope would be one by Rob Franklin. And the next book I'm anticipating is S.A. Cosby's newest. It comes out on June 10th. It's going to be called King of Ashes. I have read his books, All the Sinners Bleed and Razor Blade Tears. Both very good. Both 5-star reads for me. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to King of Ashes. And then finally, I have a little reading project that I'm going to be doing. There was a series of books that came out in the 60s. I was maybe, 9, 10, 11 years old when they came out. And I think there were just 8 books in the original series. I read all of them and I love them. They were called The Three Investigators, and Alfred Hitchcock had something to do with publishing the series, but the stories were not written by him. Um, but he sometimes, I think, was even a character in a couple of the stories. But they were written by a man named Robert Arthur. Now, in the 70s, more books were published to continue to the series. But of course, by then, I was well into my teens and even 20s, and I didn't read those. So now, Robert Arthur's daughter, Elizabeth Arthur, is taking over writing the series. And it's going to be updated for today's world. And she's going to publish 3 books at a time. I think maybe every other month or something. And she currently plans on publishing 30 of them. So that's coming. My plan is to read this reprint of the very first classic book, which looked much different back in those days, believe me. And it was first published in 1964. And then I want to read the first new book. I have that on order, and it should arrive soon. You can get them from Barnes and Noble, I think, has them in the paperback version, and Amazon has them in the Kindle version. Prompt number 7 is Green Pastures, a classic that never gets old. That's easy. Steinbeck. I have here Travels with Charlie in Search of America. Excellent book. I've read it at least twice, probably more. The Pearl, I've read once or twice. Of Mice and Men, probably 3 times. So yeah, those are kind of nice go-to classics that I love. Prompt number 8 is Pollen, a book or author you're allergic to. I'm not sure there's one that I could actually say I'm allergic to, but I'm not probably the biggest fantasy person. Even horror, I can be really picky about. But usually I do give each book that I attempt to read, a really, really good try before I would declare myself allergic to it. And being allergic to an author, I don't know, usually, you do find something by them that you like, unless it's just totally not your type of books at all. But, like I say, I do give a good try, and if you try, you usually succeed. So, yeah. I might be allergic, but I guess I inoculate myself. Maybe I want to say it that way. So now there's a bonus. I love this one. It's called Equinox, which is the 20th of March is the equinox, when the day and the evening or the day and the night are actually the same length. So the challenge is to find 2 books on your shelf that have the exact same number of pages and talk briefly about them. Well, I'm the one that actually came up with that bonus prompt, and I have no idea why, because it's a difficult prompt. It really is. If anyone finds an easy way to do it, let me know. But I did persevere, and I did come up with 2 books, both very different from each other. Both have 312 pages. 1984, if you don't go into either one of the afterwards, has 312. This book, Matriarch, which I got from the authors, they sent me a copy of this and one of their other books just to, read and enjoy and then discuss on my channel. I read the other one. It's called Cup of Gloom, but this one is called The Matriarch, and it's got 312 pages as well. So there we go. Yeah. So in my description, I will tag some other booktubers. Daniela, I want to thank you for creating this tag with me. Daniela and I are planning a buddy read for April. We're going to buddy read Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. And yeah, lots to read, lots to review, lots to talk about. The first quarter of the year is almost over now, and it's been very, very good as far as my reading is concerned. It's exciting and it feels good, and I hope you're enjoying my content as much as I enjoy creating it. So if you like it, put a thumbs up on it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let's have one more snack for the road. And I'll see you again soon.